What's up, Yamaha friends and family? Scott Newby here, back for another exciting episode of Yamaha Live to talk all things Yamaha, including our proven off-road vehicles, Yamaha genuine parts and accessories, a behind-the-scenes peek on how our vehicles are tested, developed, and designed to realize your adventure, and so much more. Now, I just wanted to address at the outset, we apologize for the connection issues during the last show where we covered the Yamaha Adventure Pro. Rest assured, we've since worked everything out and are ready to go here tonight. So I'd like for you all to help me get things started in the comments section by letting us know where you're tuning in from and what Yamaha you're currently riding or driving. And of course, as always, some things I want to be sure you're up to speed on, so to get things going here. First, the Yamaha XTR Challenge is back for 2021. We're going to have another amazing time at Loretta Lynn's Off-Road Ranch in Tennessee. The dates are October 1st to the 3rd. There's a ton of entertainment lined up, plus we have a Grizzly, Early Gen Wolverine, YXZ, Rmax 1000 classes, so register now at extremeterrainchallenge.com, and we can't wait to see you there. Before the XTR Challenge, be sure to join us at the Snowshoe Mountain Resort June 23rd to the 25th for this year's Yamaha Gncc University to hone your off-road racing and riding abilities. All skill levels are welcome, and you'll be schooled by the best racers, both current and past, including 6-time champ Walker Fowler, 27-year pro veteran Johnny Gallagher, 12-time champ Tracy Pickens, 7-time champ Randy Hawkins, and the Pro Yamaha team comprised of Stuart Baylor, Lane Michael, Mike Witkowski, and Rachel Archer, alongside reigning champ Becca Sheets, 6-time champ Jason Rains, and many more. If you want to know more, a simple search of Gncc University on our Yamaha Outdoor site or your preferred search engine will get you there, or simply contact Snowshoe Direct to make reservations at 877-441-4386. Entries are limited for both ATV and motorcycle disciplines, and it's right around the corner, so please secure your spot today. And if you're asking how to get dialed in with sweet Yamaha swag for these events, or even just to show off your Yamaha patronage to those around you everywhere you go, then head to shopyamaha.com. You'll find sick and slick apparel like what you see me wearing here, as well as find Yamaha genuine parts and accessories for your ride, our premier Yamalu products, maintenance tools, merchandise, gifts, and many more, all of which can be done from the comfort of your home. And then finally, don't forget we're still giving away a Yamaha EF2200iS generator to one lucky viewer. So please drop your comments below and tell us how you would realize your adventure with it. Me, I love the quiet, portable power it provides no matter where I'm at. I've used mine when the electricity is out, especially since that clean sine wave output allows you to power TVs, cell phones, and laptops. And funny enough, I've even cooked burgers with it while on a remote island. So let us know how an EF2200iS would complete your outdoor lifestyle. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for our main event on this beautiful Wolverine Wednesday, we cover the proven and practical especially on tight technical trails, combined with our legendary real-world tough durability and reliability with smooth, ultra-quiet power from an 847cc twin-cylinder engine, combined with Yamaha's real-world tech, including Ultramax transmission, on-command four-wheel drive, and electric power steering, packed in a compact, nimble chassis. Not only are there a plethora of enhancements to these great 2021 models, but we also notice there are a lot of folks out there shopping around and asking, what's the difference between the Wolverine X2 and X4, as well as compared to the new Rmax 1000? In essence, which one is better for me? Well, you're a winner going with either Yamaha, but not only do we want to be sure you're up to speed on the awesome enhancements to the 2020 X2s and X4s, we also want to ensure you pick the one best suited for your wants and needs. Just that, as a gentleman who has countless hours in all of our vehicles and is the mere tip of the iceberg when it comes to the amazing team behind the scenes developing our proven off-road lineup, and that's our ATV and Side-by-Side testing manager. Joining us once again, Mr. Patrick Bielsi.
Thanks, Scott. I just want to say we are just a part of a much bigger team, and they're just as passionate as we are down in Noonan, Georgia at YMMC, and all the way back in Japan at YMC. So we're just a small piece, but we're really excited to be able to talk about these vehicles and show you what those big teams came up with to help give you the best ride out there.
It's a great team, to say the least. So now, Pat, going back to 2018 when we first launched the Wolverine X4, what was the original concept behind the vehicle as you were developing it?
What was really important was having a compact body, very versatile four-seater that had a balanced wheelbase. And you could see when we were developing that, we came up with an 83.7-inch wheelbase, and it's a difference between a full-time four-seater and a part-time four-seater, or a very versatile four-seater like we've come up with here. You can have 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. It can have up to 600-pound capacity in the back, in the rear of the vehicle. And we wanted to make sure it was maneuverable on those tight trails, because we know not everybody's on the bigger trails or the public trail systems. A lot of people are using them on private land, hunting leases, things like that. So that compact body can really help you wiggle through the trees, get around the tight trails, and not have to make that 3-point, 6-point, 9-point turn when you're on the hairpins, climbing a steep mountain, especially here on the East Coast. So that was really important for this vehicle. We also wanted to make sure it was really smooth and really quiet. That was something we heard over and over again from our customers. So this engine, this 847cc parallel twin, is really smooth, really quiet. There's a lot of details that helped us achieve that smooth and quiet operation, again, in that tight technical terrain that this vehicle excels in. One of the key things, one of the developments that was made during the design phase and then the early testing phase, shorter wheelbase than a traditional, kind of stretch limo four-seater, was that we weren't able to achieve with the traditional rear suspension layout the type of comfort, ground clearance, and overall capability we were looking for with a traditional piggyback shock or a twin tube shock. So the design team came up with a Sachs using the Sachs self-leveling rear suspension, which with this wheelbase really gave us all 3 of those things we're looking for: comfort, capability, ground clearance. In that wide variety of situations we could put this vehicle in, whether it's just the driver and passenger with 600 pounds in the bed, 150 pounds in the bed. No matter what the situation is, it actually self-levels, or it adds ground clearance or subtracts it. When the weight comes out, you drive down the trail, it actually starts to drop back down to its set ride height, and really helps manage all of those things. And that was a key development during our testing phase that helped us achieve those targets.
And that is what is so great about that self-leveling rear suspension. It looks so basic, and in essence, it is very basic the way that it works, but I mean, it's magic, as funny as it sounds. And it's great too, because if you have 3 people along for the ride and there's only 1 person in the back, your other seat is unoccupied, it even balances out the weight between the 2 as well. So it's not like it's just both shocks are doing the same exact thing. It kind of balances out on each side.
Exactly. And that's one of the things people might ask, is say, well, why didn't we do that on the Rmax 4? Why don't we have self-leveling suspension on the Rmax 4? We do have Fox QS3 shocks on the XTR and the base model Rmax 4 and the Fox IQS system. But one of the key differences is that wheelbase. The Rmax 4 has a 6.5-inch longer wheelbase than this X4. Even, I should point out that 2018, 2019 X4, moving to 2020 X4, in 2020 we added found with the wider track width and the longer wheelbase, we actually were able to achieve our targets, maintain comfort, ground clearance, and overall trainability with a Fox QS3 shock. So we were trying to achieve 2 different things, and the overall wheelbase was really a key factor in that terrain, maintaining comfort, ground clearance, and trainability.
And with those enhancements you mentioned, even on the 2020s, you also made some changes to the rear end to accommodate for a square setup, correct?
Exactly. Now we have a staggered setup. In 2020 on the XTR models, we went from a 26-inch Maxxis tire to a 27-inch GBC Dirt Commander 8-ply rated radial. And the radial construction is unique for Yamaha, going back to the 2020 X2 and X4 models. Of course, we carry those over to 2021 as well. But what we really wanted to do was, again, those trails are getting nastier. The ruts are getting deeper, the holes are getting bigger. So we really wanted to, of course, maintain our terrainability. So we added a 1-inch bigger size, but we maintain a staggered tire setup. But we know a lot of people, no matter what, they want a terrain-specific tire. This Dirt Commander works really well in a wide variety of terrain, but we know with our accessory group, we offer MSA wheels, EFX tires, the EFX Moto Hammer, great hard terrain tire, EFX Moto MTC, great soft terrain tire, and then the EFX Motoclaw, again, a very good intermediate tire. But we wanted to offer, some people really value that square tire setup. That's the same width all the way around. They're not directional, so you can carry one spare with you, whether it's with you in the vehicle or back at camp, back at the truck. Those square tire setups are something that some people really value. And now with this longer wheelbase, 1 inch longer, wider track width, that we were able to give them that 28-inch size from the accessory side. The other key thing that we did going from 2019 to 2020 was by adding the inch on either side, the offset of our accessory wheels and tires, when you go to a square setup, it looked a little strange in 2018 and 2019 because the rear actually got narrower when you put our accessory wheel and tire setup, and some people just didn't like that. So with this setup in 2020 and now of course 2021, it looks the same front to back when you put the square tire setup from our accessory group.
And of course, all those tires and wheel combinations you can find at shopyamaha.com. And our testing team even tested those tires to make sure that they were suitable for the needs of whatever the tire is designated for. And of course, now if you are going to a bigger tire size, also available on shopyamaha.com is our clutch weight kit that you definitely want to be able to put in there to kind of keep that same sporty feeling that you have out of the X2 and X4.
Exactly, and that was one thing we were concerned about. Again, this vehicle is so smooth, so quiet, and that was really one of our key design targets, is that if you're on a hill climb, for example, and you've got your whole family in the vehicle, you really want hill climb confidence. And one of the key things that people gain hill climb confidence from is maintaining RPM. So as you're climbing the steepest part of the hill, if the engine RPM is getting dragged down, that can reduce your hill climb confidence. It makes you feel like you're not going to make it, even if you do. And in a lot of situations, we found that we were going to make it up the hill, but we knew that hill climb confidence from engine RPM was an important factor. So that's why we came up with those lighter weights for the primary section of the CVT, and it gives you that confidence with a bigger tire size. And that's really what we were focused on there. 16-gram weight on the two-seater, a 14-gram weight on the four-seater, and you can run them either way. You can put the 16 in the four-seater, but that was just something we focused on at that time. It still applies going from the 27-inch tire to the 28-inch tire. Still, based on your preference, you may like that setup.
Cool. And now before we go into full-on 2021 enhancements, another thing we changed in 2020, just so you're all aware, is the front end a little bit on the X2 and X4 to accommodate a 4,500-pound winch as opposed to prior having a 3,500-pound winch.
Exactly. The frame was strengthened, and the front brush bar was also made to accommodate the Warn VRX 4,500-pound winch. Meet our standards, really had to be beefed up a little bit to make sure that, again, you're maintaining strength and maintaining people's expectations, especially in that situation. And this is a great spot to talk about the excellent visibility, really the unmatched visibility of the front end of the X4 and the X2. With that tight trail capability, you really want to know exactly where the edges of the tires are and the shape of the ROPS, the location of the tires, and of course, the front visibility over the front of the vehicle on the lower side, and of course, upper, when you're going down a hill, looking up at the next steep hill. We really feel like we have the best balance of visibility over the front of the vehicle, bottom, top, sides. You really know exactly where the tires are on this vehicle to get you through those tight situations.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's a great thing, is that we made the vehicle to handle such compact and tight trails that when you have the visibility that goes along with it, obviously that's key and that's crucial, no doubt about it. And the crazy thing too is that if you ever get a chance to jump into an X2 and X4, if you haven't already, please do. As quiet as it is, I mean, you will be amazed at how quiet these vehicles are. As you were developing these vehicles and testing them as well, it's funny because I hear the stories that they obviously had the target of getting things as quiet as possible, but you quiet down one thing and all of a sudden kind of something else stands out. So we had to change out the design to the gears to where it's spherical cut heel. I forgot what exactly, you can go on that, but so many different changes, even the air intake and everything too, just to make sure that it's quiet and comfortable to hit that proven off-road target that we do have.
Yeah, one of the favorite stories, there was a ton of detail work done, like you said, the intake shape, the shape of the airbox, the strengthening that's going on in the airbox to reduce the intake noise that you get, again, when you're hard on the throttle especially. The exhaust system, again, everything was tuned to be as quiet as possible. You brought the spiral cut gears or the bevel cut gears in the transmission, again, make that gear whine as quiet as possible. Back then, our seatbelt setup, we actually had a metal ring for the two different height adjustments, and we had actually never heard that. We had that same seatbelt on previous vehicles. We'd never heard that buckle actually rattling a little bit, so we actually had to add a rubber O-ring to quiet that down because this vehicle was so quiet. So that was just a nice detailed example of how quiet this vehicle was.
And definitely perfect transition there. So for 2021, talk about the changes we have to the seatbelt setup here.
Exactly. So this is something, we'll get into this. One of the key things that we learned during Rmax 4 development and Rmax 2 development is we wanted an all-new seatbelt setup that had a wider variety of adjustments, especially for the people in the back. A lot of times those are smaller folks sitting in the back seats, and some of the other companies out there don't actually put height adjustments in their back seats, but they do in the front, which is a little strange to us. We want to make sure everybody in all four corners of the vehicle are as comfortable as possible. This is 6-position adjustable with no tools. The previous version was 2-position adjustable, and that's it. Now it's hitting you in a better spot, maybe depending on your height and your preference, whether it's right across your shoulder. If it's hitting you a little too high, you can drop it down. And this is the exact same setup that we have on the Rmax 2 and 4 setup, 2 and 4 seat vehicles, and this is now on the Wolverine X4 and the X2. One other quick thing related to quiet, one thing we learned again with Rmax 4 was the rubber bumpers on the rear seats were actually improved. They were made a little thicker, a little more durable, so there's less rear seat noise when it's in this position, which we noticed a little bit over a long period of time on the previous X4, so we wanted to add that to the X4 now that we learned during the Rmax development.
Yeah, that's a great thing about the X4, like you see with the Rmax 4 1000 as well, is that versatility of the rear seats. I mean, you still have the 600-pound bed capacity, but if you need more passengers, you have that flexibility. If you need less passengers, more cargo space, you have that option as well. When we went on our Arizona Peace Trail ride, we had the Rmax 4 1000, but it was just a pack mule for us. I mean, we had so much things in the back, and it was kind of stuffed in, and we were able to kind of use the ROP system as well to tie everything down with it. It was such a great vehicle to have while we were out there too. And of course, just that versatility when we're done, sliding it right on back makes it all the better. Another nice thing that I keep on thinking of that I feel like a lot of people forget, just a 12-volt power outlet in the back of the X4. I mean, it's just a nice little feature to have.
Yeah, we actually changed the color from black to gray just so people would notice it more, because a lot of people didn't realize it was there. It really is, of course, convenient for charging anything in the rear seats, and that made a big difference for making everybody in the back the vehicle a lot more comfortable. They got their devices all ready to go.
Exactly. We know electronics are crucial these days, to say the least. Another big change for 2021, foot pedal position.
Absolutely. We really wanted to improve with this compact body. Of course, the vehicle's not as roomy as maybe some people would like, especially if you're on the bigger scale, whether it's height or width. So we really wanted to improve our roominess, but a lot of people don't realize that the floorboard's actually the exact same as it was in 2020. But what we did was we moved the seat back about a ½ inch. But the real key, that of course makes a big difference for people that are on the taller side, but was we actually changed the pedals really substantially. And this made a big difference on those longer rides, especially for people that, again, are on the taller side or don't have great flexibility in their ankles or feet. We lowered the throttle pedal angle by 4 degrees, the brake pedal angle by 3 degrees, and that made a huge difference as far as putting your foot in a more comfortable position or basically giving people more choices. We also drastically increased the pedal area. So the throttle pedal itself is 32 millimeters longer, the brake pedal is 45 millimeters longer, and then there's a big increase in area as well. So there's more positions for you to use on those longer rides. Of course, we've got the same great dead pedal we always have, but the relationship between your leg angle, the throttle pedal, and the brake pedal really made a big difference as far as comfort goes on those longer rides. One other thing we also carried over from the Rmax, so those are the exact same pedals that are on the Rmax series, now on the 2021 X4 and X2. Soft touch point on the inner door skin. So when your knee rests against that, it's a nice soft touch point, but it's also very durable. You can see the knockout for the door speaker. Again, same as the Rmax series there. And another really big difference, this of course is really big on the trail. We're not always on nice flat ground on the trail, so getting in and out of the vehicle. We made a much bigger door opening. This is 63% wider on the lower section, 33% wider up here. So we optimized the size of the shoulder bolster. We wanted to keep the shoulder bolster. It makes a nice difference on the trail, gives you a really secure feeling and something to rest against, something to push against in that rough terrain. But we really made a big difference here, getting in and out of the vehicle, 63% wider. And then of course here, 33%, makes a big difference, getting in and out of the vehicle. Same setup on the Rmax. The outer door skin is different on the Rmax because that's a wider vehicle, so the door is quite a bit thicker. But from this dimension, it's the same as the Rmax.
It feels solid once you do find your position that you like. I mean, for me, there's nothing worse than jumping in a different vehicle and you go to adjust to how you like it, but then you feel like the steering wheel's about to fall off on you.
Yeah. And since you're talking about the steering wheel, it's definitely one of my favorite things. I feel like we have the best steering wheel out there. It's got a really nice soft rubber oval molding. It gives you excellent traction. You can really relax your hands, especially people that drive in rougher terrain or at higher speeds. You can really, it really enhances your grip on the steering wheel. You drive with a thumbs up style off-road. You don't wrap your thumbs around the spokes, and it's got these nice thumb rests. It just has a really nice tactile feel to it. It really is easy to use, and it really reduces fatigue over the course of the day.
Yeah, it definitely makes a big difference, no doubt about it. Of course, our digital meter's on the inside. A lot of people, if they don't know, the digital meter on it is also dimmable, which, if you're going out in low light situations, early morning, going on a hunt or something, you can dim the dash so where it's not kind of affecting your eyesight at all, which is, I think, a great feature, no doubt about it.
One more thing I should have mentioned earlier was when we moved the wheelbase back 1 inch and out 1 inch, we also gained a 1/2 inch of suspension travel in the back, which again, there's another key change. The suspension damping curve and the spring rate is actually the same as it was going back to 2019. But one of the key things is the rear A-arm layout is quite a bit different. There's reduced camber change as the suspension goes through its stroke, and there's also an improvement when it comes to that lever ratio. So we did get a better suspension performance, comfort, by just changing the wheelbase and changing the rear A-arm layout. And
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, even when we make those changes to the vehicle, we want to make sure that they're still hitting our original targets that we have, to where you're not sacrificing anything just to get that added ground clearance. You're still going to have that consistent, confident feel, confidence-inspiring feel when you're driving the vehicle.
Yeah, and I get this question a lot is, on the X2, we have fully adjustable KYB piggyback shocks, front and rear. Compression damping adjustable, rebound damping adjustable, and of course spring preload. And then when we went to the 2020 XTR model, we added those piggyback shocks to the front of the vehicle, and of course we carried that over to 2021. But a lot of people ask us, well, why didn't you put those shocks on the back? But it was exactly what I was talking about before. Those self-leveling shocks really do help us achieve all the targets that we think you want to maintain comfort, ground clearance, and terrainability. So we do have those fully adjustable KYBs on the front. It really can tune your ride in depending on what you're looking for, but the self-levelers on the X4 were the hot setup, and that's why we kept them on there.
Oh, especially if you're going to be changing up your load in the back, if you will, between people and cargo and everything. I mean, it's simple, it's toolless, you don't have to touch it, it does it all on its own. And if you want to adjust the front end, then yeah, sure, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and we felt like, again, the big variety in the loads in the rear of the vehicle really warranted that. On the front, we didn't see that much of a difference. It's more tuning it for your style or your riding terrain that you're looking for. The self-levelers in the back, like you said, as soon as you start driving down the trail, it starts to find its set spot very quickly, and depending on how rough it is, it's actually going to happen faster. If it's really smooth, it might take a little bit longer, maybe a couple hundred feet, but if it's rough, as the suspension moves through its stroke, it's going to find that level very quickly.
Now, another thing too, so since a lot of these changes kind of carry over from the Wolverine X2 and X4 to the Rmax 1000, that also means a lot of our accessories carry over from X2 to X4 to the Rmax 1000. So even if you started out with an X2, X4, and then you wanted to step your way up to an Rmax 1000, a lot of those accessories you can just slap from one onto the other. For example, our windshield that we do have here. So why don't we kind of do a quick little overview on that windshield?
Sure, yeah, this is the exact same windshield that fits on the Rmax series like you mentioned. And I really love this fold down windshield because it really gives you some of the best of both worlds in a lot of ways. It's cold in the morning or really cool in the morning. You have it in the upright position. And then as it gets warmer over the course of the day, or if it gets really dirty and you have no way to clean it, all of our windshields, all of our polycarbonate windshields are hard coated front and back, which makes a huge difference. Based on our experience with non-hard coated windshields, just one cleaning and they're ruined. So it's really not worth a couple $100 they cost. This is probably $100 more than a non-hard coated windshield, but it really is worth it because you can actually clean it and not scratch it up and make it really unusable. But all of ours are hard coated. Flip it down and get it out of the way, whether it's for temperature or because it's too dirty and you have no way to clean it. One other nice thing to talk about is it really is integrated well with our heater kit. When you want to, again, colder temperatures, if it gets fogged up or actually frosted up, we actually put slots. Our engineering team came up with these slots to help that heated air get up and defog the rest of the windshield or defrost the rest of the windshield, which we've never seen on a hinged windshield before. So that was a really nice thing our design team came up with that definitely proved itself out in the testing.
And that's a nice thing. I mean, not to toot our own horn, if you will, but when you go with a lot of aftermarket stuff, they're not really doing that added durability testing and just the thoroughness testing too. So something as small as, okay, yeah, we're going to put a windshield on here if they have a full cab kit as well, or excuse me, if they have the cold weather or even the soft cab kit on there, just having the ability to have the heat come through there, dissipate all that frost or what have you on there. I mean, it makes it so much better, especially that seal up at the top, the fold down flexibility with it. And on that note, these two bumpers that we have on the hood, just to make sure that if you do install them at your house that everyone knows how to do it properly, you want to make a quick note on those if you don't mind?
Sure. It might seem a little bit counterintuitive because you can see this nice bulb seal here, which gives us that great seal against water and wind at the top here. Very nice integration, same as the Rmax. But you actually want this rest, the two rests on the hood there to match up with the actual windshield, the edge of the windshield itself, not on the bulb seal. So again, when we evaluate this windshield, we drive it just as hard as we do without the windshield. We don't have to change we know that people expect when they put a windshield on, they're not going to drive necessarily any differently. So we evaluate this windshield and test it to the same level as the OE vehicle. So that was really important. Again, that's why these rubber straps are as secure as they are. You know, you bolt them right through this, the factory over fender right here. So it works really well. It's very stable. And you can, one thing we talked about during the Rmax accessory live stream was these angles here were added for that strength, for stability. Because we're driving the vehicle hard over rough terrain, we don't like to see a lot of movement from the windshield, and that's what those angles are there for, and they really help because all that movement can be a little bit distracting, especially in that rougher terrain. It really keeps everything calm, helps the windshield not move around.
That end, you don't only do testing on the trails. You do it trailered in a vehicle as well to make sure that it's fine when you're trailing the vehicle, correct?
Absolutely. We do that test on the interstates, you know, around here, and we make sure that you can trailer the vehicle facing forward, folded up, folded down, both ways, and all that's detailed in your instructions that you get with all your Yamaha accessories. We do all that evaluation here in Georgia.
And another nice accessory we have here on the X2 is our center view mirror that is crystal clear. It really is durable too, to where if you get mud on it as well, I mean, it's easy to clean off. You don't have to worry about it getting scratched up, or even just having blurriness on the outside edges like a lot of times you can get with the aftermarket mirror.
We're really proud of that center mounted mirror. We spent a lot of time on it. It was really developed with the Rmax during the Rmax development, but we knew we wanted to apply it, and it'll fit on all of our vehicles. But we really wanted to come up with that balanced view, like you said. Some of the center mounted mirrors that are basically flat, they really are distracting on the trail because things actually move too quickly. You know, we're not trying to merge on the interstate with our vehicles. We're trying to find our riding buddies behind us in a wide variety of terrain. You know, up and down steep hills. You're just looking for them back there. That's usually what people are using a center mounted mirror for in one of our vehicles. So it has a little bit of a radius to it. It really gives you a nice balanced view, and it really does match up with all of our vehicles. And there are integrated mounts on the new X2 and X4 for 2021. So everything is in the right spot. You have a very balanced view. And of course, in the four-seater, you can see who's in the back of the vehicle as well.
Yeah, exactly. Another nice thing, I mean, we do have this bar that goes across the middle, but it's not only up for added visibility, but also for when you're getting things out from the back and you have your helmet on, you're not going to be bumping your head on the thing at all, and it's just up and out of the way, but still provides all the structural integrity that you need.
Yeah, you know, one key thing about the ROP system that I want to bring up, and I've seen this a little bit on the internet for sure, is you want to make sure if your mirror, especially on your Rmax, is not fitting properly, but the same thing will happen here on the X4 and the X2. There are integrated mounts, mounting holes in the ROPs. If this ROPS bar is on backwards, it won't line up properly and your mirror is going to run into the sun top. So if you have a sun top, a Yamaha sun top and a mirror, and this ROPS bar is on backwards, it's not going to fit properly. So one quick and easy way to know, again, I've seen this, you guys pointed this out on Facebook and things like that. There's a drain hole right here, and it should be on the driver's side. If it's on the passenger side or you can't see it at all, then it is on the wrong position and your mirror's not going to fit right. It's not going to integrate properly with the sun top. So that's just a little tip. Again, it's something that happens during setup, and it's something we got to pay attention to.
Yeah, no, good little tidbit to check out just in case, to say the least. Well, that's a good little wrap up on X2 and X4 here. So just to give you an idea, for X2, we have the XTR edition. We have our R-Spec editions as well. MSRP on those starts out at $14,499. With the X4, Covert Green with the XTR edition, and then the Armor Gray starting out at $16,499. And I think it's probably a good time to do a little bit of Q&A if you guys are up for it. Any questions you have, please start dropping them into the comments section below. Since we have a bit of delay from when you type and when we see the questions coming in, we want to take a moment and just to say thank you. That's thank you for the interest in Yamaha and especially for your patience. For those of you waiting for your Yamaha or even frustrated you can't find one, trust me, we hear you. Rest assured, please rest assured in knowing we sincerely are doing everything we possibly can to get your vehicles shipped and out to you from our Georgia factory as soon as possible. Don't get me wrong, we want to get you into Yamaha as much as you do and as quickly as you do. You've heard of our global supply chain issues for everything, whether it's cars, food, or fuel. And although our side-by-sides and full-size ATVs are built with pride here in the States, which mitigates a lot of those supply chain issues, there's also a huge demand across the board right now in the motorsports industry. Obviously, your excitement being case in point. So units are disappearing from Yamaha dealers as soon as they're arriving, most of them even being pre-sold before they even see the light of day. That said, please keep in contact with your local Yamaha dealer. They truly are your best resource when it comes to what vehicles they have coming in. Plus, they have all the latest info at their fingertips via our Yamaha dealer system. Of course, if you ever need anything, please feel free to give our customer relations department a ring at 1-800-962-7926 if you do need any further assistance. That's 1-800-962-7926. Kyle McBride, can X2 and X4 shift on the fly to 4x4? Great question.
Yeah.
Thank you,
If
Kyle.
you look in your owner's manual, it'll tell you that you should come to a stop when you shift any of the drive modes when it comes to the four-wheel drive system, the on-command system. Two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, and of course, front differential lock. The reason that we recommend that is because the handling of the vehicle is going to change. So we want you to be ready for that. So if it happened by accident or you inadvertently turned the knob, we want you to be prepared for that change. Now, you're not going to hurt the vehicle. Going from two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive especially, that's going to happen. If you switch between four-wheel drive and four-wheel drive diff lock at going too high of a speed, now since we get a nice real mechanical lock, which a lot of the other systems out there don't do, you're going to notice that the red light's going to flash, and when it goes solid, that's when it's fully engaged. So if you give it full throttle, for example, after you've tried to switch to diff lock and you're moving, it's going to ignition cut, it's going to stutter, and that is normal because it's trying to get you to slow down so it can engage those two gears together. So you might turn the steering wheel a little bit. What you want to do is you want to create a difference in left and right wheel speed to help those gears mesh if you want to do it a little bit sooner. So if you're sitting completely still and it's not going solid, if the red light is still blinking, turn the wheel a little bit or start to move, and then it'll fully engage or disengage. Again, if you give it full throttle while the light is blinking, it's going to ignition cut.
Yeah, and that's, just having that safety mechanism built in place, that's what makes our vehicle so durable, it's so reliable, even so that we can offer a 10-year belt warranty on it. Obviously, that's not on the on-command system, but for our Ultramatic transmission, again, having that 10-year belt warranty is just second to none. Randy Williams, can you elaborate on the front shock tower bracing that was added in the 2020 X2, X4 over the earlier models? Basically, so the big reason behind that was to be able to provide that extra structure for going from a 3,500-pound winch to a 4,500-pound winch.
Yeah, there was definitely some change made to the frame there when it came to the winch, but from a suspension standpoint, from a shock tower standpoint, where the way the suspension is mounted, there were some improvements made in 2021, in 2020 and 2021 to the suspension layout, the A-arm layout of the vehicle. It was, again, to match that new wheelbase, inch longer, inch wider each side, 2 inches wider in the rear, again, to accommodate the bigger tire and of course the bigger accessory tires and adding that rear suspension travel. But of course the front suspension, we want to make sure we match all of those things when it comes to stress, front and rear suspension as well.
Thank you, Randy, for the question, as well as Kyle. Our pleasure for answering it. Nathan, thanks for the shout out. Colin, thank you as well. Darwin asks, I wonder how it would fare in our 49 below weather. That's pretty cool. I don't even know if I'd be going in that kind of weather, but
one thing you've probably definitely seen, it doesn't have to be that cold. It can happen even here in Georgia. Something that actually started with the X4 and the X2, we actually added a cold temperature indicator on the meter. So everybody's familiar with the hot temperature with the engine's overheating. There's a red light that comes on, tells you the engine's overheating. But with Yamaha, there's actually a blue colored, it looks very similar to the overheat one, but it's blue colored. And if that light is on, if the blue light is on and you give it wide open throttle again, if you give it too much throttle, it will actually ignition cut also. It's trying to let you know, hey, engine's not ready to receive that kind of throttle opening. We want you to calm down a little bit until the engine gets up to temperature so we don't have any kind of engine damage. So that blue light is a good indicator to let you know it is time to let the vehicle warm up. The engine is not up to operating temperature yet.
Again, another safety check, if you will, to ensure that we have our proven off-road reliability and durability. Another question, are the X4 and the Rmax axles the same?
They are not. The Rmax is a 64-inch wide vehicle. These are more in the 60-inch range, so the axles are quite a bit different. Of course, the Rmax produces a lot more horsepower as well. Again, everything's tuned. Now, for 2020, when we went to that wider rear, 2018 and 2019 X4 rear axles will not fit a 2020 and a 2021 because those rear axles on 2020 and later X4s are a little bit wider. Same thing on the X2, I should say also.
All right, well, thank you everyone for all the questions. Obviously, as always, we can't answer any ones when it comes to future hypothetical products, so our apologies there. But please be staying tuned to our future Yamaha Live episodes. That does it for us tonight. Appreciate the time and the questions. We look forward to our next live show, and we'll keep you posted on when that will be. In the meantime, please let us know what you'd like us to cover in the future. Say perhaps the benefit of our wonderful Yamaha Lube products like you see behind me, maybe even a tour of the Noonan factory that we have as well. You name it. Please drop in the comments below, along with your answer to the generator giveaway contest. I'm looking for them. We're looking for them. We want to see what you guys got. And don't forget to like and follow us at Yamaha Outdoors across all social channels, as well as subscribe to our Yamaha Outdoors podcast for everything audio. Check out our sweet apparel, Yamaha genuine accessories, and Yamaha Lube on shopyamaha.com, and find out more on our full proven off-road lineup at yamahaoutdoors.com. See you on the trails. Thank you, Pat. Thank you all. Stay adventurous, my friends.